We are back today. We are continuing the LEOM sprint, and actually today I'm also kind of giving a little demo of one of a main kind of tool that I've developed alongside exactly for a purpose that fits right into the LEOM sprint here, and I wanted to share kind of a process that I'm going through. I kind of walked through it yesterday, but in one of my videos and one of my live streams. But essentially, wabb.ai, wabb.ai, you can go and sign up. It's still in beta, still going through it and trying to make improvements to it. But what it is essentially a polling or feedback context polling tool for not just yourself, but also teams. And how is that done? Well, I'll tell you kind of the origins was that I wanted to do things at scale and not always be in the loop. So I said, okay, what if we could have on a cron job, reoccurring basis, to generate X amount of images for me to review logos? Because, I needed a logo and was kind of in the loop going through it. That was I was recognizing the shortfalls of not really I didn't have time to fully sketch it. I had an idea, but instead of just doing one kind of thread in one pass and me being very much in the loop for that, I was like, how cool would it be if it just did 5 or 10 a day and it fired every day, and I could go in a gesture-based ranking, essentially, of these records. I could go in and, for example, one WAB type is for images and is one voting or context capture mechanism is 1 through 10. So I go, okay, in a 1 through 10 fashion, I'm going to go through these logos and I'm going to, 1 for 0 for, really bad, get rid of it, and 10 for, pretty dang good. And if I do 10 a day, I know my deadline that I need this logo is in 2 weeks. So if I do 10 a day, 140 records that I go through with this general kind of aesthetic, I'm going to get a ton more reps or, shots on goal as me just kind of being in the loop for a number of hours and getting something that's, kind of, is it just does the trick. Or I could just, recognize the deadline, recognize my budget to generate these images, and go about it that way of I want this many a day, and while I'm just in downtime and whatnot, waiting or on the crapper, just quit in a super quick fire way, just slice and dice through. And you could kind of see the benefits there. And it's not just 1 through 10, there's 2 axes, so you could do it on 2 different axes of 1 through 10. You could do a yes no or binary, one way or the other, A B C D, multi-select. A bunch of different things go into when you want to create a web, having kind of a bunch of different feedback mechanisms based off the job. That logo job was pretty straightforward. What we're doing today is it's the web type is a video web. And in this LEOM sprint here, basically, we're going through and really what we're doing here is capturing we're trying to get the essence of a bunch of references for basically things that motivated this story, motivated this submission, and this script that I have. And there's a lot of physical elements, and movement is a big theme. So in this script, in this story, in this world of a high flying jetpack culture, and it's sport, it's culture, it's everything. They have a number of physics at play. They have repulsors on the tips of these 3 fingers They have a jetpack on their back. They have, boots with, on their toes and heels. Uh, similar type repulsors. So it's kind of, Iron Man in that kind of capacity of moving, the physics. And then you have these scythes. They're really staffs, grappling staffs, in which kind of has like a more Spider-Man physics and just overall feel, where they grapple and they have this staff, and it's for the sport and whatever. The sport is derived from basically starship mechanics, and that job that has since been kind of more so replaced, that specialist role more so replaced by robotics and certain technological advancements. But at one point it needed to be super manual, and absolute pros in the story are young. The younger generation there have taken that and made it kind of a sport, made it entertainment, where it's kind of like a Quidditch-esque sport. And yeah, so and then it's also used in the real world too. It's not just limited to in sport in the arena. But anyway, what we're doing is trying to grade a bunch of references. So Iron Man, Spider-Man, these are major inspirations for the mechanics of the physics. And what we are going to do today is just, and I think I have like 600 to do, and we're not going to do all of them. I doubt we'll do all of them, but it is all individual clips from all live action, maybe even into the Spider-Verse animated stuff. But these references of how they move, and when I get obviously a 1 through 10 for all of these records, I can go, okay, we're gonna look at the top 15 to 25, 30%, axe the others. We have these, and we're going to basically plug that into a model like Fable 5. It's really good with 3D. And if the goal is to reference this, it's not going to be one-to-one, the capabilities of a Fable to go and have that image input or that video input and then create the 3D scene. But it gets a rough outline, and then from that rough outline, I'll be able to add cameras, get some semblance of movement and a better starting point than just, hey, kind of what have I explained of just the general physics and whatnot. Because the ultimate goal, once we have those 3D models, we can essentially paint them without a totally VFX 3D workflow. Essentially, we can plug that into a diffusion model like C-Dance, like VO3, and it's going to be able to paint over and diffuse around and understand the body, and the camera position, the background elements, 3D assets and whatnot. So, we go through this and we'll have a great starting point. So basically what I'm looking for here as I kind of start is, that was Spider-Man, really like focus on like slinging webs. And so I'm recording the screen so you can see it, but so that's not, let's see this one, that's okay. That's a good one, although it is carrying another person, Mary Jane. It is cutting, it did just cut a number. Okay, so it's A and B. So that's all determined on the actual, so to populate these records, right? I had a model go in, hey, here are these videos. See, that's a great one right there. Even though that's 2 shots technically, see the cut. I had a model go in and try to parse them together, and it's supposed to have done actual every single cut of the camera. Whenever there's a cut in action, that it would actually split, and for continuous shots, it would just cut everything up together. But this is, for example, all flying scenes in all flying scenes, Iron Man, all flying scenes at 148. That's the title of the YouTube video that we're going off of. So, I'm just kind of going through here That's a more simple shot, but I like it. Um, Reflection shot. That's like a 10. That's a 9.8. So we got just a good mix of things here. It's a 7. So you see it's very quick fire. I know what I want. No, that's a 5, 4.8. Mm, Iron Man 1 right here. Deploy, deploy. This will be I'll give it a 5.8. Not bad. This is a shot I really like. 9.1. You see there's some cropping issues on mobile here, but you know, that'll get sorted out. Other angle, really good one. So it says, okay, 7. So about 31 more records. That was technically 2 shots right here, right? But I'm not mad at it. I think it's actually great. That's the first 10 we'll give. You could see even like captured a couple frames from the shot below. This is a really good shot. This is actually a character. That's the Ironmonger scene in Iron Man 1. And it's a much larger armor. We do have a character who kind of is that vibe. This is the second 10 we'll give. Decent. I don't even, hold on. Let's go full screen on that. Oh, that's another Ironmonger shot. That's terrible. Chase kind of scene. I like this one a lot. Kind of mid. Then we go, see, that's 2 shots, 3 shots, 3 cuts, 7.7 seconds. So this is the fault of an agent. So also the capabilities within the app, you can actually make a comment and have it re-go through the process saying like, hey, for this record, we got to break this up. And then yes, that's using API costs. One cool thing about Wabbit though, where I see it going, wabb.ai, is that I think this is going to be super helpful for even outside the film workflows. I mean, you can imagine like video, image. This can be like plain text, do things like social media, scheduling and whatnot. I think it's a super high feasibility of marketing and even for external communication, having one kind of source that you go through that agents and you can kind of collaborate and get your context on for certain projects. Um, and I think like things in fashion, merchandising, or merchandising and just retail is definitely highly applicable. So this is tough, right? Because it is multiple shots. It didn't feed in correctly. But anyway, where I was going with that, instead of in the chat interface here correcting it and incurring API costs, which is pretty much what's needed. You need that, or this is not going to plug into any of any company's plans. This is API usage. But what I'm working on now is also, I have a pretty beefy hardware too. So I have a M2 Ultra Max Studio, and it's capable of, it's got 192 gigabytes, so it's a big boy. And actually having the local diffusion models, coding models run through that so that this can actually be connected to, companies' local hardware, or if you have any interests and use cases of workflows there. Obviously, we love to save where we can when it's highly capable. So is this Iron Man 2? I don't think that's going to come out. It's like a little twisting. Yeah, 7. Back to ranking. 20 more shots left. Yeah, 2 shots there. It's fine though. Nice landing scene. Iron Man 2 coming in hot. I really like that actually. Buns. First 0.0. Now we can't give a 0.0. Drop in. Yeah, 5. That's a great shot. But it's multiple cuts. See, sometimes even the frontier models, have a tough time with stuff like this. But again, this is a new workflow. It does not have the full there's no skill files. This is not a workflow that has been established. So gotta kind of give it the benefit of the doubt, from the standpoint of just, hey, if this was a reoccurring thing and this workflow really proved good, then we'd have a skill file to look at things like the change in lighting, and whatnot for. Okay, I don't know if I'm seeing a lot of Far From Home. I'm seeing a lot of Iron Man 2, Iron Man 1. Not a swinging scene. There's a jump. Is this still Iron Man 2? It says 6 records to rank, and I think this is like the preview. It's not bad actually. 5 to rank, turn in a corner, sure. Bad cut, good. It's too athletic. That's not, that ability to jump is not really there. It's a good one. And you're all caught up. So you can see the full leaderboard. Gave 2 10s, couple 9.9, 9.8s, and you can just, have this. And then the cool thing is it's not isolated um, to just, the Wabbit account. And with the capabilities of, if you're like me and you stay in the terminal all day and you're doing a lot of the work out of there, I even edit these videos, I do everything through that. There's a CLI and MCP as well. So having access to your account and being able to just pull that from the terminal. I did it on my phone. Now I'm gonna just go straight to my terminal and go, hey, boom. We have these kind of aligned, and we're gonna chop the bottom 80%, and or call it 70%. And so anything above a 7 will be captured for the most part, and then the other ones are kind of gone. But that was a preview of, I can expand this out. We just ranked 55 WABs or records within this WAB, but obviously it was only getting the way I put it as a preview. The only way, it was, it's not doing the entire every single appearance. It didn't do any Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. It didn't do, I didn't see any Homecoming or No Way Home or Brand New Day or Avengers even, or Iron Man 3. But this is just a preview of going through using a tool like wabb.ai. You can sign up. It's it's got its place in workflows, and it just takes a little bit of time to think. It's just something that's helped me. I'm not positioning this as like the end all workflow, and whatnot. But if there is value and you see kind of value with it, we'll get you in there. And it has its place for myself. I can only speak for myself, but I didn't know of a tool like this, so just built it, and it's helping the LEOM sprint. So powered by wabb.ai, all that good stuff. But yeah, so a lot of different. This is kind of like the UI a little bit. You can see a number of different types of records, WABs here. You can, we got dark mode, we got light mode, we got all the bells and whistles. But yes, the general, it's a very simple interface, right? Very simple interface. And the goal of this, when you log in, if you don't have an idea, you don't really need one per se. So that was one session. So we do have more. But if you think of it like, if you don't have any kind of know where to start and whatnot, it's fine. The upon a new account creation, actually, there's this ability or this WAB that's loaded that basically just, at the top left and one part of, this website of this one asset of the logo, you can go through and kind of just in a similar way that I just did, 1 through 10 rank. You can see, your preferences on that and actually make a change to, your experience here in HTML. That kind of gets the brain going on like, okay, well, what on my site? Let's do whole HTML passes of my website and give it to it as reference, give the models reference to it, and, rank entire different vibes. If I want to refresh the website but keep the same thing, give it to it as reference. It can take input images, input videos, all the stuff you'd kind of expect. So that is wabb.ai. That's Wabbit at a high level, and we'll continue to use this and have some other sessions. I'll walk through some of the other workflows I have in wabb.ai, and yeah, kind of flesh out the idea. And I'm very, very curious. This is by no means a like, um, you know, uh, I think there will be users for this, but this might not be the end state, and it might be structured a little bit better than something like this. There's some cool abilities though in terms of you can you have I have 14 WABs, I have a lot of records, and I can in a queue fashion. I started this, so I'm in this WAB, but queue up. It's an infinite scroll type thing, so it's designed to kind of get you in, and knowing deadlines and knowing everything kind of bring the important stuff to the forefront, and then format it in a way where maybe it's not like in one record like I just went through of over and over again the same one, but it's an infinite scroll that aims to accomplish actual productivity, and the ability to actually, if you're going to be doom scrolling, you might as well be giving feedback, and to your own productivity assistance in these AI tools. So more context the better. And we went through the 1 through 10. We'll go through some of the other rank types and kind of the cool connectors that are able to be made and actually make it actionable. So good stuff. And knowing that stuff's always waiting for you, and you could go in and just slice and dice through, parse super quickly, I think will be a valuable kind of experience for others outside of just myself. But I wanted to share and wanted to open the gates and get other users in, because I think that's an important step for the app development at this point. So go ahead, make an account. It's free, and let me know your thoughts. Most importantly, but all the best, and we'll end here. Continuing tomorrow with LEOM Sprint. See you then.